Here's what I love about him. His feet run the whole time in traffic. So you've got the center's fucking cleats on his cleats. That's how picks happen. And one almost does here. And then we'll finish with this play here, second 11, a splash play from our guy.
Great game.
It's just a little game here, and he's wrapping and he's staying tight, and he's coming right off the guy's back, and just fucking things up. He's fucking things up in traffic. Hey guys, if you could force a trade to any podcast, where would you force a trade?
Oh wow,
that's because Haason Reddick is forcing a trade as we speak. Joe Douglas is like, no, not going to happen, Haason. We just signed you,
and that's why
money. You went to Japan, you came back, you're forcing a trade. Fuck that. But where would you guys force a trade?
Nate's got to act like he's thinking about it, bro. Nate would force himself on a raw room in a second.
Wow.
That's racist. I think that's a little racist, but I would not force a trade at all because
I'd probably force a trade in a raw room too.
Just like the Jets, like the Jets, Chris is not signing off on a trade, I don't think.
I don't think I am, but depends on what they're sending back.
I would think not for me at least.
No, not for you. I'd lose my mind. You know, Beau, you haven't answered the question, which makes me think you know exactly where.
Chris, I'm a locker room guy, all right? You know I'm not forcing my way out of any situation. I'm going down with the shit, baby.
Well, we'll find out.
These guys are crazy. Trade me to the rewatchables, please.
To the rewatchables?
The rewatchables.
That would be a good fit for you. We'll see if they can send back. You know, what will we get from Matt, you think?
Van Lathan, maybe?
Oh. No offense.
Better pack my bag.
We're all happy. I would like to trade something for Ryan Russillo. I would like to propose a trade to Bill Simmons for Ryan Russillo.
But wait, before we move on, what do you do? So you put your nuts out there, you say, fuck it, I want to trade.
Mm-hmm.
And when they come back and they say, no, we're not trading you,
it's just like football.
What's your next train of thought?
Next train of thought is go catch the fucking football. Do the open. That's what it used to be with us.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you, everybody in this room for Ryan Russillo. I'm just joking, guys. I like this team the way it is. We're not looking at any pieces. Fuck Ryan Russillo.
Damn.
No, not really. I love Ryan. And I want to compliment Ryan as I do sometimes. His travel pods are unbelievable.
Delightful.
I know the guy is he's one of the best orators of our time. Oh, yeah, that would probably take couple ones. We don't have that kind of thing. All right. But Haason Reddick is requesting a trade. Listen, I don't think this happens. I just don't. I don't think it happens. I think they've waited him out this long. How many times does a guy end up somewhere and in the same offseason get traded?
No, you got to call his bluff.
I mean, those fines are racking up too, Chris. What do you think his fine?
Yeah. What's the fine total at?
Dude,
it's over $1 million.
It's got
but the way you look at it, it's money you haven't made yet, and it's money you want to make in your deal. So I guess you're kind of thinking it's not real money.
But if you end up giving in, then that's deducted from.
Right, exactly.
So it's like a double whammy, because if you want out of there and if you end up are going to play, you're still going to get fined. It's not like they're going to be like, oh, you're back. Like, we're good. We were just joking. We're not going to fine you. No, you're going to get fined and you're going to be playing anyway.
What's really interesting to me is the holdout mechanics. Like, what are you doing while they're practicing? What are you doing during the day? Like, do you feel super weird sitting around the house? I know Ayuk, for instance, I know this through the grapevine. The guy works out from like 9 to midnight every night. So, you know, I was talking to a Niners fan. They were like, well, the guy's not out. He's not going to be ready to play even if he comes back. I think he would be ready to play. I think these guys nowadays, like, there's places you can go and you hold out.
But it's a little different.
No, it's a little different. He'll probably have fresh legs. The
Yeah.
timing will be off a little bit. But the thing I always worry about is if you sign with the team that you're disgruntled about and you're up in a year, say you're a receiver or something, like you can come back and they can spread the targets out a little bit more. They can drive your price down a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's ways that they can drive your price down.
Well, you better do everything else off the ball. You better be trying to pancake guys on blocks and do all that other shit if they are going to do that.
No question. Guys, let's talk about the guys that played this weekend, the ones that matter, the rookies, because preseason is a chance for vets to tune up, get acclimated to their new surroundings. If they change teams, that sort of thing, the quarterbacks are going to be really interesting, week 3 and 4 guys that change teams. That's when you start to see the stuff that matters, right? When the starters are playing a couple quarters. All the schemes very vanilla, something to keep in mind. And then also as you get into, and we mentioned this, if you look at like say JJ McCarthy's tape week 1 of practice and you see one pick, you're like, well, it's one play, it's at that point July, and he's practicing against B-Flow's defense. And then you'll hear about this guy's playing better than this guy. Well, is Joe Milton going against the ones? Is he going against the twos? Is Drake May? And we're going to get to those guys when they play a little bit more. I mean, Joe Milton played a little bit. I didn't get a chance to really sink into his tape. But, for instance, Drake May barely threw the ball. Jaden Daniels threw a dime outside the numbers but didn't throw the ball a lot. I think the chatter on quarterbacks starts and ends with Caleb Williams this week. Okay? I feel like people in Chicago can rightfully look at that tape. And this is a guy here who said keep Fields. So listen, if I'm wrong on this thing, no problem. This isn't really, I'm not Mel Kiper, but I am risk adverse. And I think it's a risk to spend on a high pick at quarterback, especially when you could do something like, trade the pick and fortify the roster even more. But when you look at this guy run around and just throw the ball.
See that no looker?
You can see it. Like, I get it. I see what y'all see. I see what they see. And
you jumping on the bandwagon?
No, for me, jumping on the bandwagon would be like betting their over win total, thinking they're going to get
which is what
10 wins or something like that. I think it's 8.5.
Okay.
I think it's 8.5. And I think when you look at a rookie quarterback, the one thing I look at with Caleb Williams, and I like them moving the pocket. I like him throwing on the run. That'll set up some of the run game coming out of preseason. It keeps the looks clean for him. It keeps the reads half field at times. He's out there dealing hope. The throw he made on the sideline, the throw he made on the comeback, these are pro throws. You knew he could make it. You wanted to see him make them at the right times. And I think the biggest thing for him is he can do a lot of fun shit. It's just going to be knowing when not to do the fun shit and to do the shit like slide or extend the play or, or take a sack or take the, hit the check down. That's the stuff that's going to decide who he is year one, because he can make the top end throws. You can see it.
No, for sure. And he seems like he's a gamer, which like I'm excited to see. And he seems like, just from the outside looking in, he seems like a guy that he's handling all the pressure very well, and he's staying prepared, and he always looks focused for football when it's time for football.
Yeah, and you know what? These guys nowadays are going to be packaged different.
Yeah.
They're gonna, some are gonna paint their nails, some are gonna have TikTok dances, some of them are gonna fucking dress weird. Some guy's gonna have a purse walking into the meeting and Hard Knocks and just like, that guy's not gonna play quarterback for me. But what if this guy ends up being pretty good?
Can't do nothing.
I don't give a fuck, dude. It's all about what you do day in and day out to prepare to garner the respect of the vets. And so far, it seems like he's got the respect of the veterans. I think watching him throw that football the other day is reason for excitement. And the thing that I got most excited about, and the thing that might make me redo my, and we haven't even gotten there yet where we predict 1 through 4, division, that sort of thing. I said I'd probably take the under on the Bears win total. I could be swayed. If he comes out here a couple more weeks and looks like he can throw the ball around the yard and stays out of the pitfalls, the traps, then I think they could win 9-10 games. I don't think they're going to be a 13-win team. If that's where people think, they're going to go year 1 or year 2, I think you're getting a little greedy, but I think they got a shot to compete right like they did last year, differently, but the same thing. Compete for the postseason, tough division. I'm excited to show, but the nuances show his comfort. They really do. And even watching him slide, he knew how to slide. You see a lot of guys don't know how to fucking slide.
No,
Russell
really
Wilson still doesn't know how
like
to
Josh
slide.
Allen.
Josh Allen doesn't know how to slide, and you'll hear from him later in the podcast. But again, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, really small sample size. Bo Nix, a little bit bigger sample size. I think Bo Nix if he knows
He's
how to
ready.
operate the offense, he texted me. So I'm giving all these guys a $500 bet on the year. We're going to take a win total. You guys all take a win total.
And I love Reed's Broncos win total, especially seeing how Bo Nix is going to take over this offense. I think.
Well, if him taking over the offense might consist of a lot of quick throws, RPOs, like play action, just distribute the ball to the guys, man. Tight ends, that sort of thing. That's what Sean Payton's all about.
Exactly.
And so if he can play within the confines of the offense, they'll be productive. The ball he threw into the end zone that the receiver dropped.
Yeah, Josh Reynolds was on the right side. It was a perfect.
Yeah,
it was a
perfect time.
It was really a nice throw. So a good day at the office for Bo Nix. I don't have any tape on him that I want to show our YouTube viewers, but I think it was a promising first start. When we talk about uniforms, did you like your Broncos unis?
I did all the way up until the helmet. The helmet was it looked almost like a really. It looked like if you just glanced at it, it could be a Vikings uniform.
Really?
Which are like they're not bad.
I think it's like a UTEP looking uniform.
Yeah, very UTEP.
It's a very college looking uniform. I'm not sure I'm sold on it yet.
I'm not. Yeah, that dark helmet with the white jersey and the orange on the shoulder pads, I think was a little tough. Like if they went like a bright helmet, that would look sick. Like, can you imagine that light Broncos blue?
Yeah.
That'd be fresh.
And you got to
orange
go
helmet,
full college kit,
yeah,
and look a little like you're trying to nab some recruits.
Right.
It's the mixing of the two looks, and then I think the Lions word mark is totally fucked up. I think that font is hideous, and it's amazing. You go through this, this revamp of your uniforms. It's years in the making, and that's the best you got. Come on, everything else is going great in Detroit. We got to keep talking about quarterbacks here because there's two guys I got tape on that I want to show you, and we can kind of talk through this tape for the audio listeners, but for people on YouTube, check this out. Now, if you're listening on audio, maybe throw on, here's what we like. Put the YouTube on, sync it with the audio, and let's get both downloads, guys. You know what I'm saying? You know how PMT used to say, subscribe, like, unsubscribe, subscribe, like. Just fucking play both for us. It's a lot simpler than what they're talking about. I want to start with Michael Penix. I'm really excited about this guy. And I said that when they drafted him, people are killing the move, the whole thing. If this guy can play football, he gives you an easy out if things don't work out with Kirk. If Kirk's Achilles blows up, if the other Achilles pops, he's damn near 40 years old. And we're coming up on a time where we're going to say, hey, is it one more year for Kirk? That sort of thing. You got this guy waiting in the wings. I know you could spend your one on somebody else, but in his first start against the Dolphins, he looked very good, in my opinion. The first play is a great throw. For people who watch the game, he ends up seeing man coverage on the right side early in the game, taking a shot at this wide receiver down here, and let the tape run here. This is a dime. It ends up incomplete, and it looks kind of fucked up. But his receiver's not really bailing him out here. He's trying to stack this guy. If he just stays outside leverage, that's a perfect ball. Okay, so that's a nice ball from Michael Penix off the bat. I liked how decisive he was early in the game. The next play here, I thought this was a brilliant throw from a guy. He's a left-handed quarterback, right? So they're gonna have action that dictates that his eyes go away from where he's throwing the ball. Okay, so play action right, flips back around, and as a lefty to hit that right sideline 14, 15 yards down the field, that's a big boy throw. Again, his receivers didn't really bail him out. If you get the toe tap right there, that's a hell of a throw. It's a hell of a throw as it stands right here. But I mean, for a lefty, you don't ask a lot of guys to make that throw, period. The things that Atlanta asked of him to do in this game impressed me. It spoke to their confidence in him. The next play, I thought this was great. Great read versus edge pressure. Just take the shot. I mean, and we saw this a couple times in this game. He's not afraid to throw the ball outside the numbers with touch. And the defender's stacked there. This is a good, easy throw, but he made it. And the last one's my favorite throw of the game. Okay, so I don't know if we have a timestamp on this for people that want to go back and look at it. Quarter one, 7:55, 7:35 to go.
7:35, second and 15.
Second and 15. This is a fucking beautiful throw. the little pump, run it back here, Reed. So he's in gun. It's 2x2, back out, releasing out to the left. And what he's doing here is he sees zone, and he's going to manipulate eyes. I mean, he's pumping to the right side of the field. He's moving that Mike linebacker. He's occupying the eyes of both safeties. And then he's turning back and delivering it over the middle of the field. And I thought this was really nice. I just thought Michael Penix's process was very good throughout the game.
And he's staying in the pocket. He looks comfortable in there. He doesn't look like a rookie right there. Like usually you see guys kind of happy feet.
His feet are not happy.
And exactly.
He's got sad feet.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's good. You want to be you want to look like your weight's under you. You want to look like you're not, chopping. There's no rush here to speak of. There's a little push up the middle, but his feet are planted.
Looks comfortable.
I liked what we saw from Penix. So you had Michael Penix, and this guy I might have liked even more. That's not to say I like these guys more than Caleb. I think we saw a bigger sample size from these guys. I just went through pulling plays, and I ended up pulling more plays from McCarthy than I did from Penix. I thought McCarthy looked really good. And you know what I liked about McCarthy? We're going to run this first play here. Everybody saw the pick. If you're a Vikings fan, you saw the pick the first play. Not the first play, but early in the game on 3rd and 8, it's the first play of my cut up. He throws a pick. He gets man coverage. The leak, it's trips left. You're going to get 3 overs. You're going to get a couple deep overs, that sort of thing. And then you're going to get this tight end on the right leaking out. And that'd be a nice read late in the down because it's wide open, but the pocket's muddy. The Raiders brought pressure. And I thought the Raiders brought a lot of pressure and manned up. And I think sometimes you say in preseason, fuck it, we'll man this guy up and see what he's got. We'll keep it vanilla. We'll bring pressure. We're going to confuse this motherfucker. But I thought he did a nice job. And here, his pick, the one thing I would say is this receiver could flatten this route out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not all on the quarterback, but regardless, an amazing play by Jack Jones. And to talk about the Raiders defense, there's really a lot of room for excitement if you're a Raiders fan about this defense. But he throws a pick. He throws a pick early, and I think a lot of rookies, when they throw a pick or they fuck up early in preseason, they go in the dumpster. And I think a big test is like, what are you going to do the very next play? And his next throw, 2nd and 6 in the second quarter with 10 minutes to go, is a beauty. It's a beauty. They're under center, they motion, but they go play pass. And this is, for a young quarterback, I mean, he got a face full of a blitzer. They brought 2 up the middle, run this back.
Way to stay in.
But I thought this was awesome by him. I thought McCarthy, one of the strengths I thought coming out was his toughness and his pocket mobility. Right here, he sees that he's got somebody beat and man out of the stack. He takes the big hit. He hits the open throw with a face full of a linebacker. And this is a nice throw. And my favorite part about the throw is that he responds. So next play, we've got another 3rd and 5 here. This is in the second quarter with about 4:40 to go. Raiders again look like they're bringing pressure, and they do. This is the thing that excites me about JJ McCarthy. For people listening on audio, he scrambles and picks up a first down. Okay, and the pocket's super muddy. He pumps. There's people on the ground. He scrambles for 8. He tucks it and scrambles for 8. In this league, there are a million 3rd and mediums. If you've got a guy who has the composure and the athleticism to pick these up, and you're an on-schedule team, this is going to help a lot. So not for nothing, the guy can move around a little bit. He moves around to throw. He moves around to pick up the first down. Run it to the next play here. You've got a 1st and 10. This is Tampa 2, and he sees it right away. Finds the honey hole. I mean, this is good. I mean, he's beaten man. He's beaten zone. We'll go to the next play. You've got a 3rd and 9. And the thing I love about this throw is this is a pro throw. He's basically running a little crosser type deal. And again, Raiders bringing heat. But if you watch the velocity on this ball and the arm angle, these are the things you ask quarterbacks to do, right? This is a money down. It's a muddy pocket. It's not a perfect window to throw this football, but the velocity with which it comes off of his hand. And I love this about him at Michigan. his ability to throw the ball over the middle of the field. Like if you said, hey, I'm not sure this guy can throw the ball outside the numbers, but he can really stand in there and throw the ball over the middle of the field, I'll take that. The next play, we got a 1st and 10. It's the JJ McCarthy show. They're in cover 3. This is a dime. He sees cover 3, the corner at the top. This is, of course, a touchdown. Is not playing this well. Safety's late getting over. Touchdown. He can throw that ball outside the numbers. This is a layup, but a lot of guys miss this layup, okay? The very next one, 4th and 1, another money down. The play before this, he damn near fumbled the football. I think there was a review, and they picked it up. But as soon as he sees man coverage out of the backfield,
Slant.
he sees the back to the flat. He knows he's got man coverage. Just hit the slant. It's a simple thing, but it's a money down. It's something you're excited to see. And then finally, and somebody's going to call us out for glazing J.J. McCarthy. You didn't show any Caleb Williams. You showed a bunch of – but we know Caleb Williams is really talented. This McCarthy guy, they talked about him like maybe he didn't have the physical tools to play in the league. This is a really good process from him, and it's a gimme, but play pass will be something that if he can whip his head around and make the easy read, they're going to get a lot of mileage out of this.
And how many times did you see, in the last couple of years, a wide receiver running free down the field and somebody
missing the layup,
or just not even seeing that open receiver?
Outside of Kirk Cousins, who's done very well with play action, this guy's quicker. This guy's more mobile. I don't know about arm strength. We'll see. But if he can run PAP up there with KOC, PAP and KOC go hand in hand.
JJ.
And Justin Jefferson wasn't even on the field. Evidently, he was up in the booth for a little bit. I hope he did a good job up there. I thought McCarthy looked really good. So when you think about it, you've got a fun project in Darnold and you got a fun project in this kid. It's like hedging your bets and saying, hey, something's going to work out. I'm confident they'll find a guy that they can rely on to play quarterback at a higher level than anybody they had last year outside of Kirk Cousins. And if you look at that Vikings team, and I know they didn't get better everywhere, but they made some additions. Year 3 in KOC's system, they could surprise some people. I know it's week 1 of preseason. Those are the QBs. I'm sure I forgot somebody. I'm sorry we didn't break down
Bo Nix,
Trey Lance's tape
asshole.
from. Well, I mean, we didn't show you any Bo Nix tape, but it was a positive.
Yeah, it was
deal.
Glowing review.
Is what I heard. Gym. Nate's jumping out of the gym. He's putting my money on the Broncos to win like 12 games or something. Is it plus money? It's like a plus 400.
Over 8.5.
Over 8.5.
Over
I like that.
Me too.
I like that.
It's good odds,
especially if it's not your money. We sat on the back porch the other night and looked at all these lines for all win totals.
I seen some good ones.
Yeah, good ones. This guy's like Buffalo Bills to lose every road game plus 10,000.
No,
what do you think?
Ravens to lose every road game plus 100,000.
Light my money on fire. All right. So, anyways, we've got the O-lineman. And there's only one O-lineman that I really wanted to pull tape up on. Not to say he's the best one. If I had to ask who impressed me the most, I think, honestly, Olu Fashanu looked really good in pass pro. He looked boring good. He wasn't challenged. There's nobody really there that was rushing over him. That's the thing about this preseason stuff. Who are these guys playing? But this guy, Olu Fashanu from Penn State, I can tell you I was up there at Penn State, Michigan last year and watched him warm up, stood next to him. I'm like, this is a fucking pro tackle. I didn't even know who he was, but no surprise that he ended up being that first rounder everybody was talking about. The Jets found a guy here, I think. And I say that because he's got great length. He's got good feet. You can tell his set at this point, week 1, preseason 1, is pretty good. I think he's got the length to at the top of the rush, open that door at the right time and invite you around the corner, but keep you at arm's length to where he can just ride you by.
Yep.
Like he's that type of guy. And so the only thing I think could get him in trouble is when we see guys that get him turned and go through that outside shoulder. I haven't really seen somebody test him on an inside move too much, but as far as blocking a rusher on the edge, he's got all the tools. So the Jets fans, you could be excited about what you saw week 1. Fuaga from New Orleans, obviously his play strength is very good. Like it's very clear when you watch him play, his play strength is going to be his strength. And the only thing I would say about him is don't get jerked. Don't get top heavy.
Yeah.
We watched Evan Neal, and I remember I caught shit because I was like, this guy's going to have problems. And he's supposed to be a strong guy, right? Like he's a big, strong Bama guy, but his play strength gets negated because of his balance. I don't think Fuaga has a balance problem. And if he can just stay off of his toes when he absorbs blockers, he'll be okay. Mims, the Mims guy in Cincinnati, he looks bigger than fucking Orlando Brown, who is a giant.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do something fun? Turn on the end zone copy of the Bengals preseason game and look at the size of this guy's ass and his arms and I sound like Mike Mayock, but that's the way you start looking at these guys. This motherfucker's, he stands out. Okay. And I got to tell you, watching him in space, he doesn't look slow footed. I mean, he's got really good functional length. He's not a mauler in the run game yet, not in week 1. But maybe he's just trying to play under control. We'll see. He did ding his pec, and he's going to be out for a couple weeks. So, not unlike the Steelers, they saw their first tackle taken this year get dinged, and now we're going to be without Fatanu as well, who's up in Pittsburgh. And I do want to say that, listen, maybe I didn't do the Evan Neal thing very well the first time, but I was right. I was just too honest, and I don't want to do a thing where I say, hey, this guy's not going to make it, because fuck, for me it took a year and a half. Okay, I wouldn't go back. I don't know what I'd think if I went back and looked at my preseason tape, but this Fatanu guy has got some work to do. I think the Steelers have some work to do with him. If there's one guy out of this tackle crop, and I have not watched Joe Alt yet, so I apologize for people in LA. I don't know if he got some snaps yesterday, so I'll check him out. And obviously we're excited about Joe Alt, but out of the whole group, I think Fatanu, just week 1, he showed me he's got some work to do. He's kind of, his feet are in the air when he makes contact. He's not, his feet and his hands are not tied together. He kind of strikes high. And if you watch him, you'll know what I'm talking about. He looks like he's a better jump setter right now than a guy sitting back and waiting. If he sits back and waits, his punch is not tied in with his hands.
Yeah.
And right now he's going to get bullied a lot. He's going to miss inside.
That jump set is going to get you in trouble.
Well, I think honestly the jump set's where he looked the most comfortable. Because if he can get his hands on you right now, he plays from a better base. But if he's sitting back waiting right now, he's just not tying his set together. And he's out for a couple weeks. So that really hurts you. This is a guy who could use the reps, and now he's going to be missing reps for a couple weeks. Guyton in Dallas, liked him coming out, really like him after week 1 of preseason. He reminds me of Alex Barron, who people might say, oh, well, Alex Barron didn't have a great career. I'm not saying he plays exactly like Alex Barron, but the height and the punch strength and just kind of like, Guyton's a tall ass guy. He's built like tall and lean for a tackle, but his play strength is there. You can tell his punch is strong. His grip is strong. He's physical. And if you watch him in pass pro, he does not play tall. So I really like Guyton. I thought he did a great job. Here's the guy I have tape on, JC Latham. Okay. Let's roll this tape. Beau, this first fucking play.
I watched this, dude. It's fucking hilarious. It is so funny. No, whenever you get the scouting report on Wednesday, which is the first down, second down run game day, you have, these O-linemen who are what we call first level first, right? That means that they are going to fucking hang on the double teams and take care of that before they climb up to the backers. So watch 55 here, who is fucking JC Latham. I met him out at the draft in Detroit, and he is fucking massive, dude. So look at him come down on this double team. I think they're just running a very basic duo here. He just clears it out so fucking far and comes roll it slow, Cowboy. Watch him come out of his stance. First of all, there's like 2 inches of splits between him and the right guard.
Yeah, you know what's coming.
Yeah, you know exactly what's coming. He hits the 3 techniques hip so hard, and the Niners run the gap penetrating 4-down scheme. So like these 3 techs are just rolling off the ball. There's no space here. He stays on his hip for 5 yards.
5 yards.
Wipes him completely like off the fucking line of scrimmage laterally. I've never
Well,
seen.
look at his
like
pad.
that.
Look at his pad level.
It's nice. Yeah.
You know, he's got really good pad level. The guy's fucking. He's built like.
Yeah,
Not to
he's
be a
big.
hater,
What?
he should have came off and got the.
He probably
linebacker,
should have
right?
came off, but I think
That's an
to answer-
attitude. That's an attitude play as a rookie, though. I respect that, man. I mean,
I think that's one of his first plays, and I think he's like, "Hey, I'm just going to cave this
I'm just
motherfucker."
gonna
Yeah.
fucking
But
roll
I'll
this
say
guy.
this, and we'll get to his pass pro, because you look at a huge guy like this, you're thinking, oh, Bama, big guy, like could play guard. Is he like Evan Neal? Is he big with no anchor? Is he out of control? And honestly, in the little bit I saw him in pass pro, I do think he'll have some issues, but this guy's a little bit of a dancing bear. He's got some feet.
He's got good feet. Yeah. I
He's
mean,
got
it's
good
funny,
feet.
Chris. He clears out the 3 techniques so aggressive laterally that it just makes it such an easy look for the linebacker. You know?
Yeah, no question.
If you're
no
that 3
question.
technique, you get off the ground here, you fucking adjust your helmet, and you look at your linebacker and you say, like, hey, you better fucking make that tackle, man, because this dude did not come off me.
We've got pass pro. I mean, this is red zone, so you're not getting Rusher's best stuff all the time, but this is a pretty good down by him. You know, the guy slips a little bit, but he's got good feet. I can tell he's got good enough feet to set in the NFL. The next play here, he gets into a little bit of trouble in pass pro. And this is Leonard Floyd, I think. So you're seeing a pro rusher your very first day at the office, who he just did a good job with in the red zone. But you can see if you turn a big guy, and he takes a little gather step because he's worried about the 3 technique as well. But you can see if you turn a guy, and this is late in the first quarter, even a big guy like this can get bold. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing with a lot of these rookies, especially these bigger body guys. They're not used to getting run over. Everybody in the NFL is big and strong. So you really have to be aware of, are your feet in the air when you turn? What's the distance between you and the rusher? And right here, he just ends up in a bit of a fucked up set. But you can tell that this guy's got good enough feet. We'll see if this anchor is going to be a problem. The last play here, and the thing that shouldn't go unmentioned, is that he's lined up next to Skoronski, who looked like a road grader in his first year in Tennessee. So these two guys paired together on these double teams are going to be a lot of fun. This is another, cave it down, shorten the edge kind of situation for JC Latham, and I think he's going to be pretty good at this. The next step's going to be coming off and getting backers. I love this big son of a bitch. He's he wears 55, and he's got no gloves.
He's a big boy.
He's a first-round pick. It's not like there were no other numbers. He just was like, let me get 55, and do you need some gloves? No, I don't. All right. Beau, you looked at future Hall of Famer Graham Barton.
That's a guy who I was very curious to watch coming out of Duke. He kind of played all across the offensive line for them. He's by all accounts, a very good athlete, but big position of need for the Bucks. Kind of understood that he was going to fill that center role for them with Jensen retiring. So I wanted to see how he looked in week 1. And honestly, man, he looked really good. He looked very comfortable, like very solid, and almost like boring good, like what you mentioned earlier. So he played 18 snaps against the Bengals. I think the biggest thing for me is like he's got a really nice base with really good feet. You know how it is when you're a center in the run game. Like the Bucks had a bad run game last year. I think they were maybe bottom of the NFL with their run game.
Do you think center was a lot of the issue?
No, I think just kind of the way they weren't as committed to running the ball last year. They tried to get it going at times. It just wasn't.
They got going late. Yeah, they got going late.
Not a major part of their offense. Like I said, like he did some things that I kind of made me feel like he knows what the fuck he's doing. Like he's comfortable. He did a really good job picking up loopers late on twist games. You know what I mean? Like staying square, passing it off. That's one thing that you see with like rookie O-linemen a lot of times is like they're almost surprised by these pass rush games, even though they've been seeing them, for all those years in college too. But one thing he does really good job of on combo blocks, staying really square and driving his feet. And then he did a really good job of timing it up. So unlike Latham, what we just saw, like he did a really good job on those inside out scoops where, you're comboing the guard is, comboing up to the backer on like a 2-eye or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Really good job staying square, running his feet, and then getting to the next level. Like he looks good, man. He's got good feet. Really good base, seems comfortable, and like he just looks solid, man. He looked good.
I feel like if there's a center that comes in the league and you're like, he's good right away, you're like, he's got a good shot to be one of the better centers from our, like, because center, there's some really good ones, and then there's some that I don't know. I just have this feeling about him coming out that if you're going to spend a 1 on a center or close to it, you probably know he's really good.
Yeah, and it's easy to kind of get lost in the shuffle as a center because let's be honest, you're not solid up on dudes in pass rush and one-on-one pass rush all that much. You're kind of a help guy in the run game, in the pass pro game. It's almost like a more of a mental position these days, calling out.
But if you're good though, if you're physical,
solid, it's great. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't
it's
see
like
him
extra.
as a super physical interior offensive lineman. I think he's more of a use his, he's 6'5", use his length and athleticism to position block. But everything I've seen, in these 18 snaps, his first preseason game, like let's take it with a grain of salt, but he looks fucking comfortable, man.
6'5" centers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what's it coming to?
I know,
crazy.
Man. That's like guard size, But he moves well. He's very fluid, man. He's got good feet, good base. So
liked him coming out. Okay, let's do some D line, bro. Let's get into what we know.
Get into our comfort zone. We don't got to talk about fucking hole shots.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Hole shots. I don't want to talk about any hole shots. Okay.
Let's talk about hole shots, bro.
My favorite edge rusher coming out, Laiatu Latu. I want to say his name a lot, so I think we're good. It's pretty evident to me right away that he knows what he's doing. Okay, like
twitchy, dude.
Which was kind of the read coming out. Was like this guy just knows how to use his hands. Okay, Okay. So the end zone footage here, Latu's at right end. He gets an inside hand punch, which is not an ideal thing to chop club into, but just the ability for him to course correct and fight with his hands.
Yeah, and the bend at the top, Chris, is what really, like, you can't really coach that,
No.
It's something that you kind of have or you don't, in my opinion. You can work it as much as you want and you can make it a huge emphasis, but like that's something that really sets guys apart, man. Winning at the top of the rush.
He's going to have it at the top of the rush, which just tells me it's going to be about using his power and his get off, which looks to be pretty good. But I think the thing that really is going to separate him is his hands. This is a good active rush. The second play here, I like it because, and for people listening to audio, he ended up in some situations where he had to play a tight end in the run game. And we always said, like, you got to demolish a tight end. And a 9, if he's not reaching you, if he reaches you, you should put him 3 yards back in the backfield. But if he's just hinging like this guy is, and fuck, this guy is, I mean, I might be able to do this to this guy right now, but it's really good hand placement. It's good. The way he thinks about, he's in a 9. Okay, you get a hinge block from the tight end. Well, I'm going to stay square for a second. And then when I feel that gap, right? When you feel that air, then you just pile the guy into the fucking thing.
I mean, I think the thing is too, Chris, it's nice to see a rookie come out in his first game and just be fucking physical, just have that kind of mentality. And that's what I kind of take away from this is like, we say this shit in the D-line room all the time. You should never get blocked by a tight end. And this is probably exactly what my old coach from UW, Charlie Partridge, said to Laiatu Latu here, man. Like, you got to do this every fucking time you have a tight end on you. It's good.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, this is really good. The third play is a rush again. And this is what we're talking about. It's just his ability at the top of the rush. I thought this was a really good process. He's going to go chop club. He gets the handwork he wants. Now the ball's out and he's at like 10, 11 yards, but you can tell that a lot of guys are at 10, 11 yards and they're flat and they're running right there where they run to the opposite tackle. They end up behind the left tackle. What he ends up doing is chop club, sink in the rip, and trying to round this corner. If he's got a better middle of the pocket, this could be a strip sack.
Yeah, and it's a weird pocket here, Chris, because it's a power play action pass. You know what I mean? And so I think the thing you like to see here too, though, is like, listen, he only got 8 snaps here in this game. Maybe 4 rushes or something like that.
He got into a rhythm quick.
Yeah, but like you expect to see a lot of these moves eat a lot later in the games as you set up your rushes. So it's nice to see a guy come out early, first game, and kind of have this kind of juice and have this show these flashes of using his hands in a rush where you're like, okay, like once this guy gets cooking late in games, even later in the season, like he's really going to put offensive linemen in a bind.
You know what I'd like thing too is that you're gonna have Zaire Franklin and the starters running up the middle, giving pressure so that quarterbacks probably not they're not going to be able to step up as easy as this play is.
Yep,
Yeah.
and Stewart and
Buckner and Grover
and Buckner. So yeah, like here's the one thing I'll say about this. I would like to see him, because again, he's getting an inside hand and trying to chop club that inside hand, which if you got a great get off, you can still do it, as you can see.
Yeah.
But I think when he plays better players, he's got to develop that inside move. The minute 72 opens that door and posts that inside hand, spin back, take the inside move, turn it into power, get under his armpit, he'll do those things. I know he will. He's just working his shit right now. And then the last play is another play on the tight end, which we don't even really need to see. He showed in this game that he's going to be competitive on the edge with his hands.
Putting tight ends on notice early.
I think he could play with a little lower pad level, though.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of me when I was younger, peaking up a little too much. But he's got good hands, strong base. I think he's going to be a good football player. It's early. Dallas Turner, we both looked at Dallas Turner. Beau, what was your takeaway? And then I'll tell you mine, and we'll watch a couple plays.
I'm going to keep this pretty brief. I saw he had a nice sack. I thought he played well, man. Like we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the podcast. Like B-Flow's defense is difficult. They ask a lot of guys. You do a lot of different things, especially as an outside linebacker, man. You're dropping into coverage, you're rushing, you're setting the edge in the run game. But there's a lot of variability to that defense that's like kind of hard to step into as a rookie, right? Especially if it's a completely foreign defense. But he has that 3-4 experience from Bama. I think the thing I liked is like he just kind of got it going. Like I think he played like 20 or 30 snaps. I think it was like 22. I got to look it up.
Yeah, he got a full day's work.
Yeah, that's a full day, man. And that's what you want as a rookie is like you use these preseason games as an opportunity to like get comfortable out there, understand what a game day atmosphere is like, and then see different opponents, And I think initially when I was watching him, I was like, he looks uncomfortable, man. Like he's changing around his stance a lot pre-snap. You would start with his inside foot up, and then he'd swap it around, like depending on what was going on. I think what I like to see out of him is just it seemed like he got more comfortable as the game progressed. I thought he played his best football later in this preseason game, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like that's what you want out of the preseason. Use it as an opportunity to get comfortable. Like it's a fucking NFL football game. You can't take it lightly, but at the same time, you need to remember that it is a fucking preseason game.
And he got the full day's work. I do think when I look at him, he is not at risk of being a guy that you're like, oh, we need a lot more out of him. I think he plays hard and he's got good physical traits that are going to allow him to make plays. I look at the first play, the hit on the quarterback. They're in I formation in the red zone, and he's just saying, fuck it. And I might say if I was a D-line coach, maybe not the best rush, right? Because we are in the red. We're kind of bordering. We're in the low red, and he's just kind of running by the tackle. Now he ends up with a hit on the quarterback at 9-10 yards. So this is something he's going to be able to do, which is just run, right? I don't see him running the hoop yet in this game, but I can see a guy who can move his feet, and he's got length and he's got long strides, right? We knew that about him. His pad level looks solid. The next play is it's the sack, right? And a lot of people are like, yeah, it's awesome. Great sack. And again, we're in the low red now. And I don't know what he's being told to do, but generally we go to power, take an inside move. And if you win, you better fucking win. You know what's good here is the quarterback bails to the 15-yard line, and he's got a sack at 12 yards.
Shoulder dip.
Which to me is it is a good shoulder dip in the whole thing, but you could just as easily get yelled at here for taking the high line to the quarterback in the red zone. If the tackles aren't good and the quarterback's better, he could step up. He could scramble if Metellus isn't there, if he can make Metellus miss, which I don't think he's going to do. Bottom line, it's a sack. He's playing hard. He's burning the edge. He fights off a hold. This is a good play. But again, if you look at the next play, what I'm going to show you is a guy who's got a tremendous gift, and I think he's got to learn to use it. It's early. I want to see if he does it as time goes on. Watch him stick this left arm into 77's collar. Watch the effect of the timing of that long arm. Okay. He's going to get people to bail. He's going to get people to turn because he's quick. I don't think he's a natural hoop runner. I think Latu probably runs the hoop better, but this guy can flat run and he's got length. And so what I say is you should make people nervous with your speed, but you should make people pay with the long arm. If he can learn to stick that thing in there and pop back inside or take this into a bowl, he's going to do a lot more of affecting the passer than he is running by the passer. And that's the one thing I think they're going to be coaching him on. I don't know how B-Flow runs it, but when I was in New England, they used to just be like, do not get past the quarterback. Do not get past the quarterback. I was on the set with Bill Belichick the other day for Inside the NFL, and he made a joke about the quarterback. And I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like, you remember that. And then I got a text from Jim Schwartz the other morning. He said, because we're supposed to have Za'Darius on the show soon. He's going to take care of Za'Darius when he comes on. I go, he's one of my favorite players, Coach. It's going to be great. And he's like, he was just as shocked as you when he found out he's allowed to run by the quarterback in this defense. So it just depends. It depends on the fucking defense you're in. I would think they'll get him going to power more down the line because he's got the gift of the length and the suddenness.
Yep.
So good day for those two guys. The best day for me, and maybe you agree, Beau, comes out of Seattle, Bryon Murphy. This guy looks like a fucking football player, dude.
One of my favorite guys coming off. He's fucking twitchy. Watch his he's so good laterally. He's so quick laterally, and he does such a good job of generating power and like lateral kind of like quickness out of a wide base too.
That's a really tough thing, dude.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought looking at him, and if you watch this game early in the first, they got the Chargers backed up on the 1 yard line. He's in a 2-eye, as Beau alluded to. He's got to get lateral. He's got to step out to the B gap, which is a tough one because you don't want to change your stance. You want it to look the same, and you got to get a lot of power off that inside foot and push out there. And he does. He gets skinny. I think what's so impressive about him is, and you know this, both of you from playing inside, a lot of guys just get washed here.
Yeah, but the reason why he doesn't is he's using his rip the right way, and he's kind of propelling himself forward back into that hole by like locking on to that lineman who's over pursued and whatever he's trying to do, blocking him. But the fact that he used that rip and kind of ripped it, he could get it a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But even the fact that he's using it the way he is, it kind of pulls him into attack.
I just look at the strength. You get pinballed around in there, and some guys who don't have as good a play strength in traffic, that's a certain kind of play strength, like the balance.
Yes.
To not get knocked off. This is really good, and it showed up again. Like they damn near hit this guy for a safety. If it's not for the other guys making the play, he probably makes the play. Go to the second play here. This is a 1st and 10 in the second quarter. We're at 10:56 for anybody following along. Again, he's in a 2-eye. So he's basically head up, inside shade on this front side guard. The back's opposite. So if you get run game, it's coming to you. And he gets the nudge from the center. He's able to keep his hat in the crack. He's just not moved easily. You can tell he's not going to get moved around easily. He's lateral
not huge
strength.
Either, Chris. He's not a massive guy. Like he went to Texas. His other boy, who I watched, Tavondre Sweat with the Titans, he's
huge.
Murphy is like 310. He's like 6'1", 6'2", 310, but he plays strong and square, man, with great technique.
He plays 330. You said it, strong and square, dude. And that's what, when we talk about play strength, there's explosive guys. There's guys who can run you over, but if you hit them on their hip, they fall over. I was one of those guys, right? Like where I could run you over, but then if you caught me on my hip, I'm going out. Going out of the club.
The key is for a guy with this body type and what he's doing is using your leverage. And you can see when he's using his leverage, like you can't push guys out of there. Like you see these old linemen, like they're way bigger than them. And it's something that it seems like 2 guys should be able to push him out of there. But if he's using the right leverage and the hand placement like he's doing, those guys just kind of like you see them struggling to get him out of there.
And I'll say this as a side note. Right now, Joe Alt unofficially looks like a guy in his pads. I mean, he looks like he could play in the NFL in his pads. I'm just watching one base block. All right, let's go down to the next play here. We've got Bryon Murphy on a 2nd and 9. We've got the Chargers on the 29-yard line. Again, he's in a 3 technique. And this is one of my favorite things about him.
Nice.
When he comes back and puts his hands on the center, whether it's in pass pro or in the run game, he's jacking guys up. I mean, this is what Beau's talking about. This is staying square, new line of scrimmage, and popping off to make the play. This is just fucking – it shouldn't look this easy for him week 1.
No, and I mean he ends up on the other side of center here, like he should be in the front side A gap
Yeah.
when the back's away from you, but he knocks the center back so far that it cuts off the running back.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly, and he does a really good job of like using his eyes too to know when to get off that center and go make the play. It's a nice TFL.
Really good. The next play I believe is more center assault, which I love to see. You've got Byron here in a 2 on the right side, again opposite the back, and he's going to end up fighting slide. But here's what I love about him: his feet run the whole time in traffic. You can see that center's feet are on 2's feet. I forget the guy's name. He played a full football game or 2 for Easton Stick. So you've got the center's fucking cleats on his cleats. That's how picks happen, and one almost does here. And then we'll finish with this play here, 2nd 11, a splash play from our guy. He is bumped over. He's in a 4-eye. They're overloading. So if you look at this, you've got a 4-eye, you've got a 2-eye, you've got an edge player.
Great game.
It's just a little game here, and he's wrapping and he's staying tight, and he's coming right off the guy's back, and just fucking things up. He's fucking things up in traffic, like that. You can tell he's going to be really good in traffic. He misses the sack, but these don't count, buddy. This guy's going to be a player.
Yeah.
This guy's going to be a player.
He reminds me of one of those guys, Chris, where you just see him play, you just see him move briefly, and you're like, yeah, we're on to something here.
No question. I will say this. I watched the Darius Robinson guy, the guy from Mizzou, who we all liked. We're intrigued by. I think that would be more accurate. He's so tall and he's long, but Arizona's got him playing a 3 technique. He looks super out of place. That was most of the D-line. I looked for Chop Robinson. He didn't play. I'm sure we left some guys out. Every Monday we'll go through some of these guys, but, I think it's really fun with all the talking we do. We make such a fucking big deal about the draft, and we make such a big deal about that process, and it owns the calendar for a better part of 3 months, 4 months. And then the first preseason games happen, and we don't see enough of these guys. Like, we're not talking. I should be turning on the TV, and they should be doing this. You know what I'm saying? Hey, fucking ESPN, you've got access to all these rookies' tape. Throw it on and talk about how the rookies played, because that's what's so interesting to me about preseason, especially week 1. Because if a guy doesn't look great week 1, he's got time. Yeah. If a guy looks great week 1, I feel pretty good about him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to be a world beater, but some of these guys look ready to play right now.